Mobilizing and equipping church to ministry. To begin our discussion, we will start with answering the question, why the church must mobilize and equipping believers to ministry. The call for believers. Paul in Ephesians 4:11 told us, so Christ himself gave the apostle, the prophet, the evangelist, the pastor, and teachers to equip his people for works of service. Every believer is called to work of service, doing ministry. The call for the 5 gifts. From the text, we also know that in accomplishing this task, God has given to the church the 5 gifts: the apostle, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, and teachers. However, ironically, the fact is not the same as what God's planned. Sue Mallory, in her book, The Equipping Church, reports, the church is one of the few, if not the only, non-profit organization that does not require training for service in leadership. Churches tend to assume that people of faith will automatically have the kind of commitment, skill, and experience to carry out whatever is asked of them. If the church gets someone to say yes to a role, there will more likely be a sigh of relief than some specific guidelines about what the job requires. How can the leaders equip believers? Sue Mallory gives us the principle in equipping the church. First one is prayer. Equipping church leaders rely on prayer to see God in all aspects of their ministry. The second principle is the priesthood of all believers and the vision of the church. Every member in the body of Christ is gifted and called into ministry. The church embraces people holistically in the discovery of gifts, needs, and God's calling. The third principle is servant leadership. Leaders demonstrate humility, authenticity, accountability, and genuine care for people, and they equip others to use their gift in the body of Christ. The fourth one is team ministry. Healthy community and teams are built around the individuality of gift, team accountability, and willingness of people to work for the good of the greater body. The last principle is intentionality. The church embraces equipping ministry as a value and models it through the intentional implementation of systems to prepare, connect, and equip people for ministry inside and outside the walls of the church. Equipping as a process. The phrase, so that the body of Christ may build until we all reach unity in the faith and in the knowledge of the Son of God and become mature, attaining to the whole measure of the fullness of Christ, means that equipping is an ongoing congregational journey in ministry. The entire system will have to be observed continually and occasionally evaluated thoroughly. On the screen we can see that the goal of equipping is the priesthood of all believers. Apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, teachers do one thing: equip the saints unto work of ministry, which in turn builds up the body of Christ. Share and develop the leadership. In equipping the church, the equippers are also called to share and develop leadership. When Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, saw all that Moses doing for all the people, he noticed that these works are too heavy. But Moses and the people will certainly burn out. Then Jesus advises Moses to change his role, not only to teach, but also to identify, to train, and to deploy leaders. Jethro said, you should also look for able men among all the people, men who fear God, are trustworthy, and have dishonest gain. Set such men over them as officers over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Exodus 18, verse 21. Moses listened to the advice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. The same with Moses. The church equippers are called to develop leaders. I hope this presentation can add some insight for pastors as the equippers to focus on equipping the believers to do good works and developing leaders.